This is part 10 of a fly by the seat of my pants documentary, or whatever you want to call it. Webisodes. Hate that word. That I'm doing on the Dandy house. What happened with the Dandy family when they lived there. Um, I last left you with talking about K2 meters, EMF meters, and how they work with ghosts. See now, let me throw one thing in here to sum all of this up. I'm probably one of the biggest skeptics around about spirits and ghosts. I do believe that there is energy left over. I do believe that they can be around us. They can interact in some ways, but my main point with some of the technology of today is just no more than what it was in the 70's when we only had tape recorders and uh, we had Polaroid cameras, which is when you took a picture, you got what you got. There was nothing else. There was no chance of somebody photoshopping the picture. Uh, we got one really good picture with a Polaroid at the Dandy house, and I don't even know if it's worth talking about, but we got one that was unexplainable. Uh, it was definitely not your garden variety guy walking around the property, and it was very clear. I left you with K2 meters, and now I'd like to talk a moment about Frank boxes, ghost boxes, whatever you want to call them. We had a really unique experience with a Frank's box at the Dandy house. I'll explain it kind of quickly. There may have been about 12, 14 of us in the house at the time. We were all upstairs, and I guess I better tell you what a Frank's box is if you're not familiar with them. It's a device that scans radio stations at uh, a variable rate. You can have it scan extremely slow where you would hear half of a song before it got to the next station, or you can speed it up where you're scanning as many radio stations on the AM or FM band as it will pick up. All it is a radio receiver. That's all it is basically, and it scans these stations. Usually, I guess anywhere between 20 and 40 stations is what the norm is. I don't really know. I haven't researched it, but I watched them work. I watched many investigations using these. And it'll scan the stations and pick up little bits and pieces. And what's supposed to be happening is while this is scanning, ghosts they throw their 2 cents in while they're picking up little bits and pieces of each station. I think what in 99.999% of the time, the ghost that's interjecting is nothing more than a bit of one of the radio stations. Uh, Lots of times I've seen these investigations going on, and somebody will say, what's your name? Who is here with us?" And as it's scanning through these radio stations rapidly, you'll hear a name: Bob, Chris, John, Mike, Alan, Sally, whatever. And I think 99.999% of the time, you're hearing that name being used in a commercial, in maybe a political campaign that's going on, whatever. I think that's what you're really hearing. You're not hearing a ghost talk to you. Um, but we did have a really unique experience one time. As I said, there was 12, 14 people of us, people up there, and somebody said, "What's my?" Chris Conlon, Mr. Chris Conlon, he was running the investigation at the time. He said, "What's my name?" And we heard the name Chris one time. And right away, that was a ghost answering him, acknowledging that he was there. Okay, that's fine. Maybe it was. It's possible. Maybe that's the 0.0001 time that it happens. But I asked a question and said, who was involved with cleansing the house, or who was here in the 70's? I don't remember my question exactly. But we thought we heard the name Tanis. And I've explained in one of the segments here that Alex Tanis was the world-renowned psychic who came to the house with Father Alphonsus and cleansed the house in 1973. Now, perhaps we did hear the word Tanis, and that's not a common last name, and it seemed that we heard it twice. So, maybe it works, but overall, I honestly believe you're hearing nothing more than a commercial on the radio, and you just happen to be lucky enough. And the averages are probably pretty good that in 30 commercials that are on, or 30 talk shows, or 30 campaigns, or anything else, somebody's first name might come up, or even sometimes last names. And the odds balance out. Still, I think a Frank's box is nothing more than another novelty, along with the EMF meter and the flashlight test. It's all mirrors, ghosts, bells and whistles, whatever. I don't think it's actual contacting a spirit. And as I said, first of all, there's no scientific proof that this flashlight is going to turn on when a spook talks to you. It's not. There's no scientific evidence, proof that a Frank's box works the way people think it works. Uh, Again, this is my opinion, and if I upset anybody, I apologize. But I won't change my opinion, no matter how many times I've seen these investigations. Most often than not, they are nothing more than part of a commercial on the radio. I would like to actually set up another commercial, another experiment, and have 30 radios, 30 separate radios, have them all on the 30 radio stations that this box is picking up, which with a little bit of time you could do. You could do this. You could arrange it so you'd find the stations it's picking up, and have them recorded, each one individually, and go back with your Frank box, do your investigation, whatever name pops out, go back to the recorded radio stations and listen to them, and I'll bet you anything, I'll bet you $1 to a donut that the name will come up in a commercial. So much for that. Anyhow, that's my opinion. Uh, Again, I do believe that the amateur investigator wants to get out, and they want to have contact. Who wouldn't? I mean, really, what I've seen, the unexplainable things that I've seen at the Dandy House are very intriguing, very exciting. Most of the time, we can debunk a lot of what we are hearing or seeing. I'll throw something out that was quite remarkable one night. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us in the living room, sitting in the living room, not having a seance, not having an investigation, not doing anything. We had a couple of K2 meters, 2 of them sitting out, just to see what would react. And we weren't asking any questions this night. We were just sitting, talking, being quiet. And lots of times we would just sit, not say a word. And everybody in the room heard my name. There was 6 of us. We heard Paul, and I turned to Angel, who was sitting next to me on the couch, and I said, "What?" And she said, "What?" I said, "What do you want?" She said, "I don't want anything." I said, "You just said my name." I didn't say your name. And everybody in unison said, "You just said Paul," because we thought it was her. It was dark in the room. We had a candle going, is all the light we had in the room. I had a digital recorder sitting on the coffee table in front of the couch that we were sitting on. And I said, "Okay, well, watch this." So I stopped the recorder. I rolled it back. And very clearly on the recorder was Paul. It wasn't Angel's voice. And it wasn't the only other female in the room's voice, Tina. So again, somebody said Paul. It wasn't anybody else. There were 2 younger boys, Nick and Jarrett, myself, Tina, and Angel. So there was only 5 of us there. Another unique thing that happened that night was in Beth Ann's doorway. there was a sheet, just a plain sheet hanging there. Well, actually, it wasn't hanging. It was wrapped around a 2x4, a makeshift doorway, because there used to be a wall there which was knocked down by the last tenants, and we reconstructed the wall for the documentary movie that never came out in 2011 or 12. And but we had a makeshift wall there, and the sheet was hanging, but it was only half hanging, draped, kind of at an angle, and then wrapped tightly around the end 2x4. I mean, you would have to unwrap it. You could pull it, but you'd probably pull that fake wall down too. We kept saying, move the sheet, move the sheet, move the sheet, all night long. Well, not all night, but after we decided to start talking to what was ever in the room, after the my name being told, we kept saying, move the sheet, move the sheet, move the sheet. Nothing happened. We thought it moved a couple of times, but there's a lot of drafts in the house, so debunk that one. Move the sheet, move the sheet, all night. We kept doing that for probably an hour, just kidding around. Finally, the sheet didn't move. It went up, and slowly. Not, if you unhook something and let go of it, it's gonna fall kind of rapidly. This was almost as if it was picked up from that 2x4, unwrapped from that 2x4, and slowly and gently, almost like somebody was kind of straightening it out. So, I don't know. Something was there. Energy, a ghost, I don't know. But it's remarkable that all of these devices are brought into these locations to investigate, when in fact you really don't need them. And in my opinion, they do not validate that there's a spirit there. I think when you see or hear something with your ear, or see something visibly without cameras, you have more validation that way, and more believable information that's going on. I don't believe it's hard to believe when so many people have been. It has been proven that so many people fake a lot of this paranormal investigation crap. They really do. People who know what I'm talking about will agree with me. There's one professional on TV that was, there's a few videos here on YouTube that show a faked trick. I don't want to, I'm not really worried about libel with anybody, but there's no sense in demeaning the gentleman. But maybe some of you have seen it. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. I think it had like 3 million views. But, when you do that once, you've lost all credibility in whether you were a professional bowler and you did something to make yourself get strike after strike. If you do this in paranormal investigations, which is pretty much an iffy type industry anyhow, you've lost all validation. One fake thing, you're nobody. You're a phony. And I'm sorry. That's the way it is. 14 minutes. I'm going to end this one, and maybe I'll come on with another one here in a little bit.